thing, and I want to thank everybody for joining us for this New York State Introductory Food Day webinar. Looks like we have a pretty big crowd today, and we have a lot of information that we need to go over. You will get a chance to ask questions as we move towards the middle and end of this webinar. So hang on to your questions, and they will eventually get answered. Now I'm going to introduce Avi Schlossberg from Center for Science for the Public Interest, who's going to talk about how to use GoToWebinar during this, this hour. Avi?
Great. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Very excited to have you all here. So for those of you who haven't used GoToWebinar before, as I said, there's going to be a question and answer session. So there's a few different ways that you can ask questions. One is you can type a question to us. You should see a question box in your console. So you go ahead and type that to us, and we'll read those out and address them during the Q&A session. But you should also see a little hand icon in the kind of upper left-hand side of your console there. And you go ahead and click that at any point during the webinar, and then during the Q&A session, we'll be able to see who raised their hand and who has a question, and we can unmute you, and you can go ahead and ask your question. So as of right now, every attendee is muted, and if you'd like to speak, just grab our attention, and we'll get the conversation going that way. So turn it back over to you, Nancy.
Okay, thanks, Avi. And if during this webinar you're having some kind of an issue that you can't resolve, you can see Erin O'Donnell's email at the bottom. Just shoot her a quick note, and she'll see if she can try to help you troubleshoot through our friends at Center for Science and the Public Interest. And one other thing is we are recording this seminar today. We can send out a link to everyone who registered for the call within 1 week of the call. And if I believe, Avi, people will be able to access this webinar online. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can archive it on the Food Day website, so you can certainly get it online.
Okay, so if you happen to know, if you had a colleague that wanted to join today and couldn't make it, we'll also send out some information soon about where this is archived if other people want to take a look at it. Okay, today's agenda. So I'm Nancy Hunergarth. I'm the National Coordinator for Food Day 2013, or one of the national coordinators. You all probably know me because I've mostly worked in New York State for the past few years. We also have Erin O'Donnell, who is this year's New York State Coordinator. She just came on board, and she'll be speaking in a little bit. We've got Sarah Sieber from Grow NYC, Ed Frederick from Hudson River Healthcare, and Zareen Bajwa, I hope I pronounced your name right, Zareen, from Cornell. And the last three are going to give us some insight into what it's like to put together a Food Day event, and hopefully that will be helpful to everyone. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll have our Q&A at the end. Quick overview of Food Day. It's really a year-round initiative, and it culminates on October 24th of every year. And we're trying to raise awareness and promote a healthy, affordable, sustainable food system through both education and advocacy. And by advocacy, we mean policy change, if that's something you're interested in your region, if that makes sense, that that's something to promote for Food Day. We'd love to support you on that. And this is year 3 of Food Day, which was created by the Center for Science and the Public Interest. Avi, I'm having a little trouble changing this. Avi?
What's going on?
Suddenly I'm not able to move ahead. Let me try something else. I'm not able to move forward. Oh, got it.
There you go.
I take it back. Must have been a glitch. These are some of our national partners. We have over 100 national partners for Food Day. And these partners help run events and help promote Food Day across the United States. For those of you that aren't familiar with Food Day's national priorities, here's a list of them. We promote safer, healthier diets. That can mean a variety of things, including food safety, cutting back on consumption of sugary drinks, general uptake of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, that type of thing. We tried to create a very broad tent for Food Day so many groups across New York and the United States could participate. So pretty much anything that you're trying to promote within your organization that will improve our food system will certainly fit under the Food Day banner. We also support sustainable and organic farms. We do work hard with many hunger groups to reduce hunger. We want to reform factory farms to both protect our environment and farm animals. And we do promote fair working conditions for food and farm workers. So at the top you can see some of the promotion for Food Day events that we've had in the past. In 2011 we had 2,300 events. 2012 we were up to 3,200 events, which was a nice jump. And our goal for 2013 is 4,500 events in all 50 states. And since I was with Food Day from the beginning, I can tell you that New York State has always had a healthy amount of events for Food Day. The first year we had well over 300 events, both in New York City and throughout the rest of New York State. Last year we were over 400 events. So I suppose it would make sense to set a goal of 500 plus events in New York State for this year. And those can be events large and small. We're just as happy to have a neighborhood potluck to celebrate Food Day as we are for any group that puts together a large food festival. One huge event that we had last year in New York, which was put on by our friends at the New York City Mayor's Office and Department of Health, was the Big Apple Crunch. And here's a great photo of some kids taking part in the crunch. It was at noon, and I believe the final number of people that crunched an apple at the same time and set a world record was about 400,000 last year. And you'll be hearing from Sarah in a little while about the Big Apple Crunch plans for 2013. We're going to make it even bigger and better for Food Day. If you want to learn more about Food Day activities in 2012, you can go onto our website, www.foodday.org, and you can read our 2012 campaign report. It'll give you a terrific overview of what went on across the country if you're looking for some ideas. And then the big question, the million-dollar question you're probably asking is, how can you use Food Day? As I was talking about before, examine, what your issues are in your community or what issues your organization is working towards, and try to plan something that will help promote what you're trying to move forward in your community. These are some of the types of events and initiatives that we had across New York State and across the U.S. For Food Day in the past couple of years. You can see it's a pretty wide range, and I guarantee you I didn't even cover probably one-eighth of the types of things that went on across the United States. You see it can be anything from promotions at restaurants, planning a community garden. A lot of folks put together a Food Day film festival, since there are so many wonderful films about our food system that have come out probably in the last 5 years. There are often at universities, conferences or symposia on food-related issues where they bring together food experts, and they schedule that on Food Day or very close to Food Day. There's a variety of festivals across the United States. There's simple things where schools bring chefs into the classrooms and teach kids to cook. Some groups hold lobby days. There are simple food tastings and samplings across the U.S. Some of our friends in New York City from Eataly, which is a wonderful market and place where there's many restaurants inside this market, often do a food sampling tasting for Food Day where they bring in all their producers, their local producers who sell food to them, and they station themselves around this gigantic store in Manhattan, and they give out tastes of things to customers as they come in to celebrate Food Day. Always great to raise money for hunger. And one thing we encouraged last year, and we got some events around the country, is a Pour One Out event where often kids are asked to bring a sugary drink and pour it out to signify that they are going to go sugary drink free in honor of Food Day, and hopefully that helps them to be sugary drink free for the long run. Here are some updates on what's going on and what is needed for Food Day 2013 in New York State. There is this year a special focus on Get Food Education at Every School, which is a joint campaign between the Jamie Oliver Food Foundation and Food Day 2013. That was launched May 17th. And you see the link where you can find out more information about food education at every school. For this year, what we're trying to do is create awareness and get as many organizations to sign on to a letter in support of getting food education in every school. So if you have a moment, take a look at that. If you're with an organization, perhaps your organization would sign their name. And we envision this to be something that is going to continue for 2 or 3 years, and ultimately we would like to bring cooking classes back into all our schools across the U.S. along with the food education that goes with it. So take a look at that, and if you have events that would make sense coordinating with that, you can reach out to us and we will try to help you. In New York State, we try to get folks to operate as regional or local coordinators for Food Day events. If you're interested in being a regional coordinator or a local coordinator and you want to put together some Food Day events or do some outreach in your city or town or region to make sure that we have Food Day events all over your region, please get in touch with Erin O'Donnell to volunteer, and she'll be able to give you instructions on how that works. And lastly, just a reminder that once you have come up with an event, big or small, do register it and try to find a coordinator in your area so that you can give the event information to them and they can help you promote it as we get closer to Food Day. Resources. We've got a lot of resources because, as you can tell, this is really a volunteer event, and the way that we help you is not only promoting it and trying to spur events, but we try to offer to all of you the resources that you may need to get an event going. So if you go on to foodday.org and you go under resources, you will see just a plethora of resources. You'll see our logos, you'll see posters, you'll see promotional materials, brochures, one-pagers that you can download. You'll be able to find our national map where you'll be able to track the events that are being posted. There's recipes, there's suggested films to be screened and reading. So, just take a moment to go through our website resources and see what would be helpful to you. This year we've expanded our Food Day Leadership Series, which is a series of national webinars that have been designed to help folks who are putting together Food Day events learn more, get their ideas out to the media, and figure out how to make their events to have the most impact. On July 17th, we're going to have an event about making your point to the media. So if that's something you're interested in, please register for that webinar and take a look at the other upcoming webinars, which I didn't have enough room to list. And you'll see that there's a link right there for Food Day webinars. And again, if you have any questions about that, Erin will be happy to help you. And finally, I'm just going to leave up while we talk here today the Food Day contact information. You've got Erin, myself, you've got the link for upcoming webinars, the link for the food education campaign, and the link for our website. And if for some reason you're not able to find what you need, please reach out to either Erin or I, and we will be happy to help you. And now I'm going to introduce Erin O'Donnell, who is this year's New York State Coordinator. As I mentioned, she just came on board. She's just going to introduce herself and let you know what she's up to and how you can help out in New York State. Erin? Erin, are you there? Avi, do we still have Erin?
Yep, she's still on board, it says.
Okay.
Thanks, Nancy.
Oh, there we have her. All right, Erin, go right ahead. Erin, are you there?
Hi. Sorry about that. There's a patchy internet connection. Morning.
Yes.
Avi, I think she has a problem there.
Yeah, I just went ahead and muted you, Erin. You're having some technical difficulties. So we want to go on to the next presenter. We can swing back around to Erin.
Okay. So let's move on to Sarah Sieber from Grow NYC.
Conference call just now. So if you come, I will be available in 10 minutes, okay?
Is that Zareen? Zareen?
Okay. Yes, sorry. Hello?
Were you talking to us or you were talking to someone else?
No, sorry, I was...
Okay, just remember that we have all of our presenters unmuted, so everybody's hearing you.
Oh,
all right, so let's move to Sarah. That's okay. Let's move to Sarah Sieber from Grow NYC in New York City, who's going to tell us about this year's Big Apple Crunch.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So like Nancy mentioned, we did Big Apple Crunch last year, and we're happy to have Food Day signing on as a full-fledged partner with us this year. We were able to coordinate, again, like Nancy mentioned, 400,000 apple crunches across the country. And we are working with Record Setter once again this year to break that record and reach a goal of 1 million crunches. What we did was organize a main site where the event was launched. This year it's happening at Brooklyn Borough Hall in downtown Brooklyn. And we'll have a launch there at noon, but then several locations, hundreds of locations across the city, including many of our green markets, public schools, businesses, anyone that wants to coordinate with us and be a part of that. We basically work with Record Setter to count how many each location is coordinating. And like I said, it kicks off at noon as a way to celebrate food and just get New Yorkers thinking about healthy and sustainable eating. And we figured a perfect way to celebrate in New York, being that it's our namesake and also we're the largest producer of apples in the country. So we do welcome anyone to join us across New York State, in the city, and anywhere in New York. You can sign up through our website, bigapplecrunch.org, which is not live now, but will be in coming days once we get everything fleshed out and up there. You can also email me for information. I do have a kit for people that want to take place, and I'd be happy to send that to you. You can email me at S as in Sarah, Seber, S-E-B-E-R, at grownyc.org. We welcome everyone to participate, like I said, and any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a good explanation of what that event is about. And I think the great thing about the Big Apple Crunch is that, you know, any group or workplace or school can get involved in it. It's a pretty easy way to celebrate Food Day. You know, getting the apples and taking the bite at the exact same time and being part of the world record.
Absolutely.
And this is, I think you might have said that Big Apple Crunch is done across the country at the beginning, and I think you might have meant
oh, excuse me, the state.
Right. So folks outside of New York City can also participate in this if they like?
Absolutely. We're based here in New York City, so we're covering the city here, but any groups that are in New York City that would like to come on board are welcome. But of course, anyone in New York is welcome to join as well. And it's easy for us to coordinate and support folks who want to do it in the city because we have our green markets and we have so many of our staff and programs in public schools and accessible to businesses here in New York City. But we'd be happy to support in any way we can if people even just have questions or need some information about how to set up an event like this.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you so much for being on today, and folks, do reach out to Sarah because these folks did a terrific job last year with, you know, the support of Mayor Bloomberg's office, and we know we're going to reach 1 million crunches this year. So, you know, do reach out to her, and let's all try to get behind this event. Okay, did Ed Frederick come online?
Still don't have Ed.
Okay, then we're going to go straight to our friend Zareen Bajwa from, you're in Suffolk County, right, Zareen?
Yes, yes.
And Zareen has been with Food Day, putting together events since its inception, and I invited her on to talk a little bit about the types of things she's done and to offer any best practices or other ideas to people coming on for the first time for Food Day. So take it away, Zareen.
Thank you, Nancy. I don't know if I have best practices, but I have things that we have done and have worked for us in Suffolk. And the first year was what we have done and has worked very well is to do a partnership. And I would suggest that sometimes it's better to involve others with you, so you will have greater success and then you're not the only one doing all the work. So the first year was we worked with Stony Brook. Stony Brook took the lead and Cornell was a partner with them. And we did a food day at Suffolk Department of Health Services.
Can I stop you for 1 minute and just say Stony Brook is a university? So
yes, Stony Brook University is the state university and the camp. It's called Stony Brook, so I colloquially use it, but it's the State University at Stony Brook in Suffolk. So last year they were kind of busy creating their Master in Public Health program, so they were a little silent, but they did something small. So last year within Cornell we have Creating Healthy Places as one of our projects. So Creating Healthy Places and Cornell, you know, both, so it was Cornell which took the lead, and we recruited the same partners. We had about 23 people come in and have a meeting. And at that meeting, we decided one of the greatest need in Suffolk from one of our partners, Long Island Harvest, was that we need high fiber, low sodium food for seniors. and that is very scarce because we don't get enough donations. So we immediately thought that's a wonderful idea. We'll do a food drive, and it is not that hard, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's just, you know, involves everyone. So it was accepted and everybody jumped on it. All our partners hosted the food drive boxes. So there were a couple of hospitals, offices and others, some were even shelters which did it, and we were successful in collecting whole grain products and low sodium products for seniors because that was a high need. The other thing we did was we worked with some of the schools, and we wanted to work, so throughout October in the schools we worked to do, which led to that was the Rethink Your Drink, was to decrease sweetened beverages and increase water. So we were promoting water in the schools and doing like an educational campaign with the schools that we were willing to work with us. So we provided the educator to go to the school and do that educational part. So that was also successful. And the third part was that we did the Think Your Drink, but just water campaign. So we have a very big Grown on Long Island Day in August. We promote it from that day, this water flavored with lemon and cucumbers, and we distribute it free. So little kids even come in and drink it, and it's to encourage people to drink more water. And we're not going negative or saying don't have a soda or anything. We're just promoting water as a beverage of choice. So we do it in our office and we do it everywhere. So that was another campaign that we went full-fledged in October in a couple of places. We brought our big, those 3-gallon containers with water, with ice and cucumbers and lemon, and distributed it free everywhere so people would have a taste of it, and then maybe they'll go home and try it. So those were some of the things. And it is really not hard, if you have good, so, when we did it together with our partners, the result was good in the end, because everybody's doing a little bit to help out. And this year I'm going to, take the idea of the Apple Crunch to the schools and to other our partner organizations, and see how we can also be a part of it. That sounds so great, Sarah. You'll be hearing from me soon. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Zareen. You've done amazing work over the past 3 years, and we really appreciate it. Let me just ask you 2 quick questions that you may or may not be able to answer. Are you able to involve any of the local policymakers or legislators in any of the events that you have put together?
No, we actually, our food day is not all organized. No, sorry, the food, no, we didn't. We sent out, we had some of the legislative aides send out materials, but we didn't have any of the boxes in any of the legislators. No, we didn't. So that's a no. But we could do it this year. We could, because I'm on the food policy committee, so we have one of our legislators working closely. And we have another legislator who works with us on the energy drinks policy that we were able successfully to bring about in Suffolk County. So we could, approach them and see if we can get some leverage there.
Well, thanks. The reason I ask that is I'm often asked, how folks can use Food Day to forward policy ideas, which would, really be able to sustainably change the food environment. So, I know that I often recommend when I talk to people, that they reach out to their local legislators and see if they want to participate in any events. And we all know that most politicians, like to participate anywhere where they can look good and interact with their constituents. So, if you're planning an event, do try to reach out to policymakers, and it may lead to a good relationship that helps change the food environment, policy-wise down the road.
Nancy, just to think, on our Grown on Long Island, which is celebrated in August because it's the height of our season, and it is done on the Suffolk County Farm. It is the Farm Bureau that takes the lead for it, and Cornell is a partner in it. We did have the water station there also, and we do get a number of legislators, state and local, that attend the event. But we didn't do anything like, forward any policy or petition. We just promoted water at the event.
Right, I understand. And you don't always have to have a policy idea you're trying to promote. Just to create awareness, about something like that is good, like you guys were doing, because policies are, tricky to get past. It's really just building good relationships, goodwill, and bringing policymakers, into Food Day so that they get to see that this is an important event every year in their region. So I'm just going to sum up a little bit what Zareen said, and Zareen, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like what she found very useful was not to go it alone, but to create partnerships or even a coalition of groups that were working together and trying to come up with some initiatives to celebrate Food Day. And that way, the work is spread throughout, and you're putting a lot of heads together to come up with ideas. And it sounds like this partnership or coalition sat down and assessed the food environment in Suffolk County. And after that assessment, you folks were able to come up with initiatives that either filled or highlighted needs that were specific to Suffolk County, and about getting high fiber, low sodium foods to senior citizens. So you guys really did a great job in organizing and assessing, and then fulfilling something that really needed to be done, and I think that's fantastic.
Good. Nancy.
Yes.
We have someone, August Ruktashel, sorry if I said that name incorrectly, from the Suffolk County Food Policy Council, who wanted to contribute to the conversation here about getting politicians involved. So August, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if you want to chime in here. August, are you here? No. Okay, well, August said that they did have many local politicians and policymakers attend the annual Celebrate Grown on Long Island event that Zareen mentioned, including some town supervisors of Riverhead and legislators as well, and General Assemblyman Fred Thiel. So she said she's not mic'd up, so I just want to throw that out there.
No, that's great. I mean, again, it's something that I've often been asked about is, if you're putting together a Food Day event or initiative and, you want to turn it into something that really creates awareness or a good long-term relationship with policymakers, how do I do that? And just as these folks are doing, invite them to events, and, usually what you have to do is reach out to a legislative aide at many of their offices, get them, up to speed. And more often than not, you wouldn't believe how often a legislator will show up at an event, particularly, if it's going to be at a university or in a public place. So just wanted to throw that out there, and thank you, Zareen and August, for your comments on that. All right, we didn't get our friend Ed on the phone, is that right, Avi?
Yeah, he's still not on the call, it looks like, but
all right.
maybe we can swing back around to Aaron here.
All right, Aaron, can we hear you now?
Yeah, can you?
You sound perfect.
Great. Sorry about the technical difficulties before. And thanks to everyone for coming on. My name's Aaron O'Donnell, and I'm on board with Food Day New York for 2013. I'm sort of coordinating the events that are happening around the state, and particularly in New York City, because that's where I'm based. And I'm here as a resource in any capacity that I can help you out. Do contact me if you're looking to start a new event, if you're looking for resources, and also if you're looking to get a lay of the land and what else is going on in your geographic area. Because I think one of the biggest things I'm trying to do is, as new folks come on board, figure out ways that we can we can find some new places for collaboration between groups that were previously sort of isolated and doing related work, but not linking it together. So I'm here, and you guys have my email address. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Erin. So Erin is pretty much taking over what I have been doing for the last couple of years, which is really focusing on New York State. And I am still working in New York State. I am still assisting Erin. So if someone needs me, do reach out to me. You've got my email address up on the screen right now. It's different than it has been in the past few years. But I do answer my old email address, so don't worry about that. So since we don't have our friend Ed, on this call to tell us about what he's done in the Hudson Valley, why don't we reach out and see if there are any questions or comments that we should be addressing with the people who are on the webinar.
Yeah, so it looks like we've got a few here. Let's see. Bhavani Duroff says she's the co-chair of Slow Food Huntington on Long Island, and last year they partnered with Chipotle, who had the rights to Food Inc. And What's on Your Plate. And this year they're not doing that. Is there any other organization who has the rights to the film screenings that we could partner with to create events in the schools?
Okay, so the question is, do we know of organizations that have the rights to these?
To Food Inc.?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure we can address that on. If anyone can answer that and they want to chime in here and send us a comment. Otherwise, we can send out the attendee list here, and you all can connect directly via email and reach out that way. But if someone can help Bhavani out, that would be great.
Yeah, Bhavani, to my knowledge, I don't know of groups that have the rights to Food Inc. Trying to think back in my addled brain, it seems to me that some groups have reached out, some like nonprofits or schools may have even reached out to the Food Inc. people. I'm sure you can Google them and reach out to them that way, and gotten free or very minimally priced usage of Food Inc. for large groups. So that's something that you might want to consider, just doing a little research there. And you can check on our website where we list the movies. I don't know if there's information on how to get those movies, but take a look. I have not looked at that section recently, and it's possible that information has been added.
Yeah, Nancy, she said not necessarily Food Inc., but yeah, so there's a, under the resources on the Food Day website, there's a film screening guide, and there's a lot of great documentaries there that last year we had discounts for several of them for screening licenses, and hopefully this year we'll have the same. So we'll be updating that document over the next month or so. But for the time being, at least just to find some other good documentaries, it's a good list. And there should be links for how to get the rights for several of them.
Okay, do you anticipate that going up in August?
So in the next, August or September. It's not a, we'll see how long it takes before we solidify the discounts. So.
Okay.
So Elizabeth Weiss asked, she's interested in doing a Big Apple Crunch in their school or school district, and I'm wondering if Sarah has insight on getting apples donated for the event. If you could follow up by email. It looks like Elizabeth didn't catch Sarah's email address, but that'll come out in the follow-up email. Elizabeth will send out Erin's email address and Sarah's as well, and you can connect with everyone there. But Sarah, if you had some ideas on how to get apples donated.
Yeah, I'm happy to, like you said, if she wants to email me, I'm happy to connect directly and brainstorm ideas of sponsorships and ways that we can find support for her. We don't have a connection for donations for apples, but I'm happy to communicate directly and figure out how we can support you.
And Sarah, can you just state your email address one more time, please?
Sure. S as in Sarah, and then my last name, which is S-E-B as in boy, E-R, at grownyc.org.
Okay, and
Go ahead, Nancy.
as Avi said, we will send that out in the follow-up email. And just a couple of quick ideas you might want to be ruminating over. I mean, sometimes if you reach out to a local grocery chain, a local farmer's market, or an orchard or growing association, they might be delighted to donate something to your area. So those are some things you might want to start thinking about.
Reminder, if anyone has anything to contribute, you're all muted right now, but feel free to click the raise hand icon and we'll go ahead and unmute you. So our next question here is from Paula Brewer, and she asks if anyone is planning events or activities regarding reducing hunger. So if anyone wants to raise their hand and contribute, otherwise we can kind of include that question in the follow-up email, and Paula, we can put your email address in there and people can reach out that way. But I don't know, Aaron or Nancy or Sarah, did you have anything on hunger activities?
Aaron, have you had any outreach yet with any groups that are going to do something on hunger? Oh, but you might be having some technical difficulties again. I know that in the last 2 years, Paula, and hello Paula, nice to hear from you, we have had a number of events around the state that focused on hunger, either food drives or events that highlighted needs in certain communities. And I strongly suspect we'll have many events again.
Aaron, it sounds like you're having a lot of technical difficulties.
Okay, so well, if Erin has some suggestions or had some things she wanted to add, we'll put them in the email because clearly she's having some technical problems. So back to Paula's question, hunger type events. No doubt we'll have them around the state. A couple of ways to find out about them. First of all, stay in touch with Erin because Erin will likely know about events. You can also always go to our National Food Day map and see who has signed on for what, excuse me, in New York State. And I'm sure some of the events that are signed on to on that map will be focusing on hunger. And Paula, if you're interested in putting together an event for a local area or a region or partnering with some of the larger hunger groups around the state and you would like some assistance from Food Day leadership, just contact me or Erin and we will be happy to help.
Great. All right, so we have Jacqueline Gutierrez has a great question asking, is there a website with a list of ideas similar to the slide you posted earlier in the presentation, and are there instructions on how to implement events? And yes, definitely. So it's not a website, it's our resources. So the 2012 campaign report, this is all on the foodday.org/resources. The 2012 campaign report has a wide variety of event ideas, kind of ready-made ideas from very simple to more involved events that took place all over the country last year. And then currently we still only have the 2012 organizer's guide. The 2013 one will be ready shortly, hopefully in the next month or so. But the 2012 one has great, it has planning timelines, tips for how to execute events, how to get started, who you should reach out to, and then more sample events and things to kind of inspire you to make your event as successful and geared towards your community as it can be. So we'll mention that or link to that in the follow-up email as well, because those are some great resources.
And Avi, if I remember correctly, which is always scary with my recent memory, there are resources that talk about how events that you should put together at schools, correct?
That's right. Yeah, so we have a 2013 guide for school organizers, which focuses specifically on engaging school districts, superintendents, educators, parents around Food Day and doing events like the Big Apple Crunch and bringing food education into schools. So that's also available on our resources page, as is a guide for campuses. Last year there were over 300 campuses that got involved, many in New York. So there's separate resources for these various constituents.
Right. So do go to the resources. I mean, there is just a ton of sort of how-to manuals that are broken down to different sectors. There's one-pagers. Just spend a few minutes going there, and I suspect you'll likely find something that will help you move forward with a Food Day event. And I remember, Avi, there's even, excuse me, there's even an event that talks about how to get media coverage. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a 2012 media guide that has tips on how to draw in media attention, and there's sample press packets and press releases, sample proclamations for your mayor, which is something that, kind of an easy, very public thing that we suggest people have to get their public officials involved. So, yeah, lots of different resources there.
Okay, so if you look through all that and you go through the different events that have gone on, and you still want somebody to brainstorm with you about an event or initiative that you want to put on, feel free to reach out to either me or Erin, because that's something that we do. We do have phone calls or email exchanges with groups and try to help brainstorm what would make the best sense for your group for Food Day. So between the resources and between us, I'm sure we can help you.
Yeah, definitely. So Kyle Wolf and Nicole Dennis had the same question here of, does the register event, does it have to be only on October 24th? And the answer is definitely not. The 24th is just kind of one day of action, but events take place all throughout October, even kind of the last few days of September and the beginning of November. You're certainly welcome to register events. It doesn't have to be on the 24th.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we've had, I would say most of the events are within, a week before or a week after a Food Day. That's the majority. But we've had events in early October that have been branded with the Food Day, or co-branded, I should say, with the Food Day logo, and where they also handed out some Food Day brochures and Food Day information, and they wanted, to sort of get the publicity of Food Day added to the event that they were putting on, even though it was a little bit early for October 24th. But it's perfectly fine to do it if it's not exactly on October 24th. And then one other thing that many groups do is they often prefer to hold an event on a weekend, particularly if they're trying to reach out to families and children, which of course makes sense. So, that's fine. And again, if you have questions or concerns about dates, do reach out and we'll be happy to answer questions.
Yeah, certainly. So we've got a few more comments on the Apple Crunch and specifically sourcing. So Marie, sorry if I butcher this, Ko said that Whole Foods might be likely to donate apples if you ask. And then Carolyn, oh no, sorry. Kate Gardner has a good suggestion that very often the seconds from orchards are discarded, the ones that can't be sold at farmers markets. So apples that are slightly bruised or maybe a little discolored. So people looking for apple donations might consider asking various farms and orchards for their seconds and use that in an apple crunch. So thank you, both of you, for those suggestions.
That's great.
And then, yeah, Carolyn Zazima here, as you may have answered this, but considering holding a food day event at a school garden and leading a harvest festival, so how would you execute an apple crunch in terms of getting apples and being counted as part of the crunch? So yeah, we can certainly connect you with Sarah to follow up with some more details, and then there's more information obviously online.
Right. So that would be reaching out to Sarah and you know, just getting the details of when the actual crunch takes place, whether it's at noon, which I think it was last year, and you know, finding the source for apples. So we can help. We'll you know, do reach out to Sarah and we'll get that organized for you.
And then just one last quick comment from Sherry Dumal here. If anyone needs Meatless Monday toolkits or Kids Cook Monday toolkits, which are Meatless Monday is a great campaign from the Mondays campaign about, you know, using Monday as a way to initiate change in our individual lives. So they have great toolkits that are easy to support a food day event, and we definitely encourage that. So from their website, thekidscookmonday.org or meatlessmonday.com, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, that's a really cool event to put on and really easy. You know, I've known of workplaces that have sort of held, you know, sort of meatless potlucks, or they've asked their cafeteria to create only meatless entrees, you know, for food day to, you know, to celebrate getting more fruits and vegetables into our diet. And the Meatless Monday people are terrific. They have lots of resources, and do go on to their website. And again, you know, if you have some questions about that or need a little help, send us an email, and we're here to help.
All right, so that looks like that's it for the questions. If anyone has other questions, certainly shoot them to Erin O'Donnell or Nancy. All the emails will be in a follow-up email, which you'll receive within a week of today.
Terrific. And thank you, Avi. It's been great having you. You've been really helpful, and Avi's been with this campaign for a while too. Avi's out of Washington, D.C., so we really appreciate all the help you've given us today, both technical and information-wise.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's great to see so many different people involved and interested in Food Day in New York.
And I'm sorry that Erin was having some technical difficulties, but she's a veteran of Food Day, and she's really going to be a terrific resource for everyone here in New York State as you move forward with putting together your Food Day events or initiatives. And just one final thing, I know that Avi was mentioning we do not have updated 2013 versions of certain documents, but if you go look at the 2012 documents, it's the same basic information. So don't feel like you're not getting everything that you need. You know, if you know, there's probably just some minor changes to 2013 versions. So do go ahead, take advantage of 2012 versions of documents and resources. And the last thing I want to say is that in the past couple of years, we've had New York State Food Day calls, I think every 2 weeks up until September, and then at least one year we had them weekly until you know, through through the week before Food Day. So we may try to put together a call either in 2 or 3 weeks. I'll confer with Erin. And on that call, and we may try to make it a conference call if I can get a conference line. We can have people, you know, just talk and ask questions. Make it sort of more of an interactive type thing where you can share information. And if we're not able to get a conference line, we'll do it in webinar format, and of course take your questions that way. So we will have help for you throughout the summer, and you guys will all be able to share you know, best practices or problems you're having, and hopefully we can connect some of you so that you can partner and work together in creating terrific New York State Food Day events. So thank you for joining us. We'll have some follow-up information to you shortly, and we will talk to you again in the near future. Thanks again, all.